Chembakolli sits in the forest around the Nilgiri Hills, and it's in between two mountain ranges, so it provides quite an interesting landscape. What can you see in the photograph, and what are some of the features of this area? The Nilgiris are made up of 2,542 kilometres square of rolling hills, forests, tea and coffee estates, and lakes. Chembakolli is one of many Adivasi villages, which is the tribe that lives there and in the forest around the Nilgiri Hills, South India. They are situated at the junction of the Western and Eastern Ghats, the two main mountain ranges that run down the two sides of southern India. So to the southeast of Chembakolli are the plains of Tamil Nadu, and on the southwest of Chembakolli is the Kerala and the coast. So here we can see there's some children here on a school trip that have gone to the Kerala coast. So it's not too far on the other side to the flat plains. 56.6% of the Nilgiris district, including the area in and around Chembakolli, is covered by forests. So over half of all of the ground there is covered by forests. And there are many different types of trees in these forests, including eucalyptus, bamboo, and coconut trees. So because their climate is very different to ours, they get many different types of trees and plants. There are a number of rivers and lakes in the forests of the Nilgiri Hills, and these form an important water source for the Adivasi tribal people. And here you can see that they are collecting some water from the river to take back to the village. Now, because their climate and their landscape is very different to ours, they also get many different animals there, and they live in wild in the forest. So pictured above, you can see there are bison, elephants, Asian elephants or Indian elephants, just like Elma, a langur monkey, peacock, and some spotted deer. And the peacock is the national bird of India and is a very common sight in the forest. Now here you can see a man, and he's eating. If you look very, very closely, you might be able to work out what it is a honeycomb. And that is one of the things that some of the people do there, is to collect some honey from a special type of bees there called a rock bee. There are also many different types of interesting plants that grow in the forest, many of which are a food source for the Adivasi people. What do you think the food is? So it's something I haven't seen in our country in the shops before. Looks like it's got quite an interesting texture. This is called a jackfruit, and that grows naturally in the forests there. Some plants in the forests are not native but have been introduced to the forest by people visiting or moving there, and they've spread quickly and dominate some areas of the forest. So for example, this is a lantana, and it's a shrub that is now commonly found in the Nilgiri forests. Its leaves are poisonous to most animals, but many birds eat the fruit and distribute the seeds. These characteristics have helped the plant to spread quickly, and it is difficult to control. Some of the families that are living in the forest have started using the stems to manufacture furniture. So the woody stem of the lantana is thin but tough and durable, and can be woven together to make chairs and tables. So they've used something that has sometimes got a negative effect to help them do something new. There are lots of tea and coffee estates. So when the British people arrived and went to the Nilgiri Hills a long time ago, they set about clearing big areas of the forest to make way for enormous tea and coffee estates. And the timber from all of the trees was used to make railway lines and ships. And then during the 1960s, lots of people moved to the area and more trees were cut down, and even more estates and plantations were made for making tea and coffee. So although now, luckily, much of the forest is protected, the neighbouring estates, so all of the towns and plantations around it, can still cause environmental problems. So the use of herbicides and pesticides can harm animal life, and honey collectors have noticed that the number of bees are reducing every year. Plants that flower depend on the bees for pollination. So therefore, as there are less bees, there has been a reduction in the amount of plants and animals that are living in the forest.